afternoon. We're going to give an update on the homicide of Caden Phillips. On September 27th, the city lost a young, talented young man that had his whole future ahead of him, who was 15 years old, Caden Phillips. I first want to thank the family and friends and everybody here. We attended the funeral, and I don't think I've seen that many people at a funeral ever. And I've seen today just your outpouring, and the amount of people here shows how important Caden was to you guys in this community. And just want to say my condolences to Mom and Grandma and the rest of you. And just thank you for being here. This is truly important. And this is a tough process. We made an arrest. A person's been taken into custody, but it will be a long and tough process, and this police department will be here for you. I'm going to turn it over to Chief Zanelli, who's going to give the facts of the case.
Thank you, Chief. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Assistant Chief Dave Zanelli. I oversee the Investigative Services Division, which includes homicide and major crimes. On Saturday, September 27, 2025, at approximately 7:48 p.m., uniformed New Haven officers were dispatched to the area of Butler and Bassett Street after several 911 calls reported a person shot. Upon arrival, officers located the victim, later identified as Caden Phillips, 6/18/2000, of New Haven, unresponsive and suffering from apparent gunshot wounds. Phillips was transported to Yale New Haven Hospital by ambulance, where he ultimately passed away as a result of his injuries. An autopsy was conducted the following day by the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner, which ruled the manner of death to be a homicide. Sergeant Mastriani, Lead Detective Kuntz, Detective Markham, and detectives from our Bureau of Identification Unit immediately responded to begin investigating Caden's murder. On October 10th, after an intense 2-week investigation, Lead Detective Kuntz was able to secure a juvenile arrest warrant for a 13-year-old who was determined to be responsible for the death of Caden. The juvenile offender has been charged with murder and carrying a pistol without a permit. This juvenile was safely taken into custody by members of our intelligence unit on October 10th, the same day the warrant was signed. He has since been remanded into custody at the Bridgeport Juvenile Residential Center awaiting trial. The juvenile arrest warrant has been sealed, as is the case with all juvenile arrest warrants, therefore details are limited. However, I would like to thank Detective Kuntz, the lead investigator, Sergeant Mastriani, and Detective Markin for all their incredible work on this case, the leadership of Captain Bohr and Lieutenant Gardner, the New Haven State's Attorney's Office, specifically State's Attorney Doyle, and Inspector Master Petrie. I'd like to thank Lieutenant Werner and the Intel Unit, and all the help from our partner agencies represented here today, including but not limited to YARD, the Office of Violence Prevention, Clifford Bears Bereavement Care Network, CTVIP, Juvenile Probation, Street Outreach, and the clergy, as well as the Board of Education. I would also like to thank Mayor Elliker and Chief Jacobson for the continued support of myself and the entire Detective Bureau throughout this homicide investigation. And lastly, on behalf of the New Haven Police Department, I'd like to offer my sincere condolences to the family of Caden Phillips. Mayor Elliker.
Thanks, Assistant Chief. I know the press is very familiar with this case, but not necessarily familiar with Caden, and you can see here a snapshot of what Caden meant to our community. The fact that there are so many family members and loved ones here puts a face to the many people that are impacted. Not only have we lost Caden, who has a whole life ahead of him, a beautiful young boy, but his family is destroyed in many ways. My heart goes out to you, Ms. Noel, and all of the family. I can't imagine what you're going through right now. Caden was a beautiful boy, a student at Career High School, loved basketball, was part of our Youth at Work program, actually working at a homeless shelter that we have. I mean, you think of that, the kind of boy this was. And for his life to be taken away is just not fair to anyone, and it's hard to make sense out of the fact that a 13-year-old boy took a 15-year-old boy's life in our community. It underscores just how much more work we have to do to help support our youth, ensure that they have all the kind of supports that they need to lead productive lives. And I want to make clear to our youth, put down the guns, get away from the guns. And you can't do this alone. We have so many people here to help you. If you need help, reach out. Reach out through your school, reach out through the city. There's so many resources to help support you. We're ready to help, but you gotta put down the guns and stay away from the guns, because if you have access to a gun, you have that moment of anger and you're gonna use it. And that's not good for anyone, it's not good for yourself. So my deepest apologies to Caden's family. We're here for you as this journey through the justice system begins. Any support that you need, we are ready for you. If any of the members of the family want to come up and speak, you're welcome to do so. Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm Alex, and this is Crystal. We're the paternal grandparents of Caden Phillips. We'd like to thank everyone for all the text messages, the calls, all the support. People come into our homes just calling in, checking in with us. We'd like to thank the detectives for doing a great job swiftly apprehending a suspect. And now, we have to seek some justice. We understand we're dealing with a juvenile, and in juvenile cases, it can be very difficult, like they explained to us. We do understand that. But we still have work to do collectively. I'm talking about the New Haven Police Department. I'm talking about the lawmakers. I'm talking about the community itself. If you take a look in this line here, I only see 2 males. This is not something the police department or the community, this is not something the Justice Department can fix. These boys need guidances. The 13-year-old, can he be rehabilitated? I believe so. I'm not a firm believer of locking a child up for life. I do believe that he can be rehabilitated, but we want to seek the accurate justice to fit the crime. This is just bad for the city. Every household in New Haven, Connecticut should be outraged about this. This is not normal behavior. This kid is 13 years old. It's a learned behavior. He walked up to a 15-year-old point blank range and murdered him. This can't be good for any of us. So the lawmakers need to do their work. We need to do our work in our households, our community. We need to help the police out. They don't know what's going on in the households. We need males in these households to guide these boys. And we need the court system we need accurate and swift justice. Just as these officers did their job and detectives did their job, we're looking for the same response, and we will be there every court date, every hearing, wherever we need to be, we will be there because we're seeking the justice. That's all we have.
Hi, my name is Tanisha Brown, and I will be speaking on behalf of Crystal Jones, which is my aunt and Caden's grandmother. In love and memory of Caden, I never thought my family would be here today, standing in the aftermath of such a heartbreaking and imaginable loss. My 15-year-old grandson, Caden, was taken from us by gun violence. Those are words I never thought I'd have to say. Caden told me last year that the boys who had been bullying him from the past couple years were now carrying guns. Imagine hearing a 15-year-old say that. And scared, feeling powerless, I knew I couldn't protect him, having to tell him he can't go to certain places or hang out with friends, not because of bad choices, but because it wasn't safe. But never did I imagine my grandson would be murdered in cold blood at the hands of another child. Caden was tired of running and hiding from those who targeted him. I remember him asking me, Gigi, why can't I just be a kid and go places like everyone else? He just wanted to live his life, to laugh, to be with his friends, his cousins, and to just enjoy being young. Caden was loved. He showed it every day through his hugs, his words, and his kindness. My family and friends were his world. He was a big brother and also my deepest connection to my late son, his father, who passed away 5 years ago. Caden gave his dad some loving hugs that had some warmth and light. Now both of them are gone. I can't get that back. And that's a pain I can't describe. I wish I can take Noelle's pain away. I hate this for her. Our family is broken. Our hearts are shattered. We will never be the same. It's not fair. It's not right. A 13-year-old killed a 15-year-old. How does that make any sense? This is the same child who was seen months ago pointing a gun at Caden's head after a fight. People knew, his family knew, yet nothing was done. Caden's death could have been prevented. And this loss reaches for beyond our family. Caden's friends, his basketball teammates, his coaches, and our entire basketball family are devastated and traumatized. These kids lost more than a teammate. They lost a brother and their sense of safety. We have to ask, where are these kids getting guns from? Why aren't their parents checking their phones, their rooms, or even their book bags? Too many children are running around households while the adults are looking the other way. We can't bring Caden back, but we can speak his name. We can demand change. We can fight to make sure that no other family experiences what we did. We are standing today, and thanks to everyone who came out to support us. We truly appreciate it. We appreciate the calls, the texts, the visits. Thank you, everyone.
Hi, I am Cornell Hill Williams, Caden's grandmother. But Caden, 15 years ago, when he was able to talk, started calling me Cece and Crystal Gigi. So everyone knows me as Cece. No one really knows my real name that didn't grow up with me because of Caden. My grandson, I had something prepared, but I just need to come from, my head and my heart. My grandson was my heart. I have two, but Caden, was my heart. He was with me all the time. He was brought up in church. If anyone knows Caden, there are videos out there of my grandson preaching at the age of 2. I can remember him going to a family cookout, and he always carried his microphone with him. And, one of his aunts said, what do you got that microphone for? Are you going to rap to me? And so he goes, no, I'm going to preach. So she's like, well, you preach for me then you pray for me. So Caden gets up on a picnic chair, and she's sitting in the chair, and the kid is praying for her. And everybody is sitting there amazed and wanting to know what church this kid belongs to, because he would just mimic my pastor, and, he felt like he was a preacher at the time. But my grandson, his heart was basketball. That's all he wanted to do was play basketball. And for his life to be taken over jealousy and hatred is just not sitting well with me. I don't feel like, justice is going to be served for my grandson. I'm going to push as much as I can to make sure that is done. But I just don't see that as happening, because this 13-year-old child chose not to fight with his hands and to pull a gun. My daughter, his brother, are devastated. His brother wants to know, is he going to come back? Why they couldn't bring him back? Is this kid going to come after him now because that's his brother? A 9-year-old should not be thinking like that. Not at all. Connecticut, we have got to do something to change our laws. This is horrible. These kids get out here and they do these things that are unimaginable, like kill someone. And the first thing we do is we jump back to the fact that this is a child. You weren't a child when you pulled the gun. You weren't a child when you carried that gun for a year, 2 years. You pointed it at more than just my grandchild. So we're letting them fall back on age when it shouldn't be appropriate. If you do the crime, you should pay for what you have done, regardless of your age. I'm never going to see my grandson again. I'm never going to see great-grandchildren because of this child. This mother is going to have a chance to be a grandmother, whereas my daughter will not. Ever. Not from Caden. We have got to change our laws. I just don't understand Connecticut laws, but something more has got to be done. We've got to fight. You parents that are listening to this news conference, if your kids are out there doing something they shouldn't be doing, please, please, please try to get them. I know it's hard because some kids they just don't want to listen. You know, my biggest thing with my grandson is if his mother said no, I was his first callback. And if I said no, then Gigi was the next one. Or he was double teaming both of us trying to overrule what his mother was saying. But she was a mother that was there. She was a mother that followed her child, that knew where he was, and if he wasn't supposed to be there, she was on the scene to get him from there. And I said to him when this incident happened a few months ago, Caden, my worst fear is that I'm going to get a call and that someone is going to kill you. That's my fear for my grandson. And 3 months later, he's dead. I should not have had that even as a thought in my mind. But this is the world that we're living in. This is the state that we're living in. That these teenagers, these young adults can go out and do whatever they choose. And because of their age, the law can't do anything against them. And so that's why they just keep doing it. Because, yeah, I'll go to juvenile for a day or two or for a year, and then I'm going to be back out on the street. We have got to stop. We have got to change this. We have got to do better. But with all that rant being said, I just want to say I thank the New Haven Police Department for all that you have done, for you keeping us informed on what you're doing, for the swift work that you've done in apprehending this young man. For everyone else, bereavement care, I know I'm going to miss names, but it's not, meaningful. But for everyone that was there for us, for the outpouring of love that everyone showed to us at his homegoing service, it was wonderful. But I have to go back to something that a friend said to me, when they called to give condolences. You can't get 30 people at your birthday, but you can get 300 at your homegoing service. Why can't you celebrate a life rather than celebrating a death? We just have to do better.
Hello, everyone. I am Nikki Huckabee. I am Caden's aunt. And what I want to say to the people responsible, and I say people because there's more than a 13-year-old responsible here. He has an entire family. We have an entire justice system. If my life depends on it, Caden's life will not be in vain. We will aggressively go after the laws and statutes here as it relates to serious juvenile offenses in Connecticut. I do not blame the mayor because the mayor is not living in the households. He's not birthing and raising these children. I do not blame the police officers because they are not lawmakers. We in this community have to get ourselves we have to make ourselves aware of who the lawmakers are, and we have to go after them. We have to show up. That means sitting at legislative hearings until 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning. If you are committed to this, if you are committed to making sure that there is never another Caden in this city, then please join us in this fight. We're not the family that is going to just let this die down. We're not here to just talk to you at a press conference and go home and mourn. We will seek justice. We will seek action. The heinous act that caused the pain that my niece has to go through and all of the rest of us, but most importantly, his mother, his grandmothers, his siblings, it's not going to be in vain. Caden's life was stolen far too young. He had his whole life in front of him, like we've all said. Basketball was his dream. He had a mind of an entrepreneur. His t-shirt line, his clothing line, everything he wanted to do, we will make sure that that happens. But you better believe, if you're watching this and you know me, the laws in this state will change if my very life depends on it. Thank you for your time.
Anyone else from the family? No? You good? Okay. Before I open up for questions, I just want to thank a couple more people. It's been mentioned, but this was a tough case. All the cases are tough, but especially Caden's age and the age of the suspect and everything that's gone on since. And, you know, detectives and sergeant, thank you so much. Great job. Lieutenant Gardner, Captain Boer, Assistant Chief Zinelli. I want to thank my other assistant chiefs, Assistant Chief Etienne and Assistant Chief Bactana. We do this as a group. It's not easy. It's extremely difficult. And this was probably one of the hardest ones I've seen in a long time. They're all hard, like I said, and everybody's means something to us, but this really hit our hearts. I want to call a couple of people up that aren't standing here. Ronald Huggins from Yard, please come up here, Huggy. Sunday, I get a call from Huggy and his crew with Yard and Dr. Gwen Williams and saying, you know, let's meet, let's get on top of this after Caden was killed on Saturday. And then a whole team was put together to see hundreds of kids within the school system to make sure everybody else was safe. And with the New Haven Public Schools, Superintendent Negron, Colonel Carolina, CTVIP, Len Jihad, and Olivia. Olivia, come up here, please. I know I don't ask you guys to do this very often. The Office of Violence Prevention, McKenna Booker, Terzer, come up here, please. Clifford Beers, Jackie Burns, our victim advocate, Officer Curry, come on up here, please. Project Longevity, Kate Gunning, our SROs under Sergeant Jimmy Ola, all our SROs work day and night to go out with this team here and see every kid to make sure nobody retaliated. And this wasn't easy, and you guys do it every time this happens, but this time we did it to the 100th degree, and there was no retaliation. And that's a credit to the way we do things in this city, pre and post homicides. You know, you mentioned an incident with Caden. It actually occurred in Hamden. We passed all that information to the Hamden police. People had attempted to work with Caden and this other kid. And we wish we could have done more. We would do anything to save lives in this city. And I just want to recognize all these people to the left of me and the more that I mentioned, because they're so important in keeping people safe and then helping people through the trauma that happens. Even myself, you know, and I just want to thank you guys because you do a hell of a job. I'll open it up for questions, but remember that there's not much we can say. It's a sealed juvenile warrant, and the case still has to be adjudicated.
Can you speak more if the suspect had a prior record? I know you talked about an earlier altercation. Could you speak more on that?
All I can really say is, yeah, I've been arrested before, but it's a juvenile record, so that's all I can say.
Will anyone be prosecuted over the gun? You might have gotten the gun?
That part of the case is still ongoing. Yeah, there is the potential for more arrests, but as for the shooter, we know we have the shooter. But yes, the trail of the gun is definitely being prosecuted.
Is your team looking for other parties that could have been involved?
Yeah, like his question, you know, where a 13-year-old got a gun. That's extremely troubling. All right, I want to wrap it up and just, again, our condolences and thank you for being here. It's so important that you were here today.